Welcome to today's explainer. If you've ever popped a pill and thought, wait, how does this tiny thing actually know where to go and what to do inside my body? Well, you are in the perfect place. Today, we're completely demystifying the hidden, kind of magical mechanics of pharmacology. Let's get right into it. Here's our quick roadmap for the explainer. We're going to cover 1. Ancient roots of medicine. 2. The birth of modern pharmacology. 3. Pharmacokinetics inside the body. 4. Pharmacodynamics, hitting the target. And finally, number 5, the individual patient puzzle. All right, section 1. Ancient roots of medicine. Long before we had sterile modern labs, it is absolutely fascinating how entirely separate ancient civilizations figured out the healing power of the exact same plants, just through, pure trial and error. Look at this timeline. Around 3000 BC, you've got the Sumerians scratching prescriptions into clay tablets. By 1550 BC, the Egyptians are over there using the Ebers Papyrus to document willow bark as a legit pain reliever and anti-inflammatory. Fast forward a bit to 400 BC in Greece, and there's Hippocrates himself handing out willow leaf tea to ease the pain of childbirth. They were clearly onto something huge way back then. This brilliantly shows how one surprisingly simple idea, just chewing on some willow bark for a headache, evolved over millennia. You can actually trace the exact progression from those dusty ancient Egyptian texts all the way to 1899, when scientists finally nailed the stable synthesis of acetylsalicylic acid. That's the little Bayer aspirin tablet we all recognize today. It literally went from crude tree bark to becoming one of the most rigorously researched drugs in human history, backed by hundreds of clinical trials every single year. How cool is that? Moving right along, section 2, the birth of modern pharmacology. Now, this brings us to a massive absolute turning point in medicine. Way back in 1525, this guy Paracelsus drops a quote that changes everything. The right dose differentiates poison from remedy. Paracelsus basically realized that the sheer amount of a substance you put in your body changes absolutely everything about what it does to you. This one crucial observation, it laid the groundwork for the entire concept of dosage. And that profound understanding paved the way for chemists to start isolating the actual working ingredients inside those ancient plants. Because let's be honest, instead of chugging unpredictable, crude plant elixirs and just hoping for the best, chemists began extracting pure, incredibly potent compounds. In 1805, a chemist named Sir Turner managed to extract this super bitter compound straight from the opium seed, and he named it morphine. This huge shift from whole plants to pure extracted compounds laid the absolute bedrock for modern analytical pharmacology as we know it. Which leads us to section 3, pharmacokinetics, inside the body. Okay, so pharmacology is essentially this beautiful blend of biology and chemistry, split into 2 main branches. I want you to lock this baseline concept in your mind right now. Pharmacokinetics is what your body does to the drug. Pharmacodynamics, on the other hand, is what the drug does to your body. Make sense? Right now, we're going to focus on the first one, pharmacokinetics, looking at how your own unique biological quirks influence a chemical's ability to actually reach its target. Pharmacokinetics is totally driven by a super structured 4-step process. You can easily remember it with the acronym ADME. This process basically dictates the whole life cycle of the drug, how it gets into your system, how it moves around, how it breaks down, and eventually how it packs its bags and leaves. Notice how beautifully logical this sequence is. First step is absorption. That's getting the drug from wherever you took it right into your bloodstream. Then comes distribution, where the drug hitches a ride and transfers throughout the body to exactly where it's needed. Next up is metabolism. This is the fascinating phase where your body actively chops up and converts the drug from its original chemical structure into totally different compounds. And finally, elimination. That's the irreversible process of the drug finally exiting your body. Literally every single drug has to successfully navigate this entire sequence to actually work. Now look at this pharmacokinetic data. It proves exactly why the way you absorb a drug matters so much. Just look at the massive difference between the 2 lines here. Intravenous, or IV administration, entirely bypasses those initial absorption barriers, so it hits a massive peak concentration in your blood almost instantly. Now compare that to oral administration. Waiting for a pill to slog through your whole digestive system to be absorbed, that results in a much slower peak. It's night and day. But hey, it's not just about how a drug enters the body. It's also about the specific biological system processing it. This graph maps out the elimination of a drug called phenobarbital over time. Just notice how wildly the clearance rates vary between entirely different biological systems. The goat clears the drug from its blood so much faster than the dog does. It perfectly demonstrates that pharmacokinetics is deeply, deeply tied to the specific biology doing the processing. All right, moving inward. Section 4, Pharmacodynamics, hitting the target. To really understand this phase, we have to talk about receptors. Paul Ehrlich gave us what is honestly the perfect analogy for how drugs find their specific targets inside us. He basically said that substances can only anchor to an organism if they fit into the recipient complex perfectly. Quote, like a piece of mosaic finds its place in a pattern. I just love that visual. Taking Ehrlich's point a step further, a drug is only going to trigger a response if it has a specific molecular target. Its chemical structure literally has to fit perfectly into a matching receptor, what we call the active site, exactly like a key sliding into a lock. Seriously, if the key doesn't fit the lock, the door doesn't open. If the drug doesn't fit the receptor, it simply won't mediate any sort of cellular or physiological pathway. In understanding this exact lock and key mechanism, that is precisely how modern scientists brilliantly design safe, highly effective new medications. Studying pharmacodynamics gives us the vital framework for where and why drugs produce their desired actions. It lets us neatly categorize drug classes, predict potential toxicity way before a drug is released to the public, and even modify chemical structures to speed up the development of brand new, life-saving therapeutics. It's a total game changer. Finally, let's zoom back out. Section 5, the individual patient puzzle. Because every single one of us has a beautifully unique biology, giving the exact same medication to a large group of people is going to create wonderfully and sometimes drastically different results. For a large chunk of folks, the drug is going to work perfectly and do exactly what it's supposed to do. But for others, it might trigger serious side effects. And for a totally different group, it might do absolutely nothing at all, zero response. So why exactly does this happen? Well, it's because your personal ADME process is totally 100% unique to you. Your response is influenced by a bunch of individual factors, or confounders. We're talking your underlying genetics, your age, your gender, your current diet, other health conditions you might have, and even the strict timing of when you take the drug. All of these physiochemical properties and system parameters alter exactly how the drug is absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and eliminated in your specific body. Which brings us right to the bleeding edge of medical science today. With so many massive individual variables changing how we absorb and react to medicine, I really want to leave you with this fascinating thought to ponder. As our understanding of our own unique biology and chemistry deepens, will the future of pharmacology be one where every single prescription is custom-built, precisely calculated, and perfectly tailored just for you? It's an absolutely incredible possibility. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and stay curious.